Why would you continue to sleep with Travis after you learned of his child porn issues?
That was not a side of Travis that he wanted to even exist, and of course I didn't want it to exist. He had told me that when he slept with women...
Sustained. Answer the question without referring to a statement.
Okay. I was under the impression that when he was able to sleep with a woman as opposed to fantasizing about a child, he felt like more normal as a man. So also I had seen prior to this incident many beautiful qualities about him and good qualities about him and things that were attractive about him. And I believed that this incident was a negative part of himself that he didn't want to foster or that he was fighting or struggling against, and that he ultimately wanted to eradicate.
Did Travis's closet doors have locks on them?
I don't remember them having any locks.
If no, how did you have time to get the gun down if he was right behind you?
I don't know if he was right behind me or not. I just had the sense that he was chasing after me.
Did you record other phone sex conversations?
Yes.
Ryan Burns testified that he met you at a PPL event in April 2008 and you had blonde hair. How is that possible if you dyed it in March 2008?
Well, the reason that is the case is because I didn't meet Ryan at convention in April 2008 because convention is not in April, it's in March. So he got the month wrong is all. Convention always occurs in September and 6 months later in March.
You took pictures of the shirt and shorts. Did you take pictures of the Spider-Man underwear? If no, why not?
I did not take pictures of those because that's embarrassing, as opposed to the shorts and shirt, which were sentimental to me. I didn't want to memorialize boys' underwear, and I didn't want people to know that that was a preference of his and that I was dumb enough to go along with that preference.
Travis stated on the phone sex conversation he did not like Spider-Man. Why did he buy you Spider-Man underwear if he did not like that character?
I don't know why, but they were Spider-Man, and I do know, however, that the year prior, there's a child he was close with that really liked Spider-Man. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but he was very much into Spider-Man. He would dress up as Spider-Man. He had the...
She was asked if she knew why.
Sustained. Why would you tell Leslie you wanted your kids to play with Travis's kids if you felt Travis was into younger children?
This again is a statement that I made on June 5th, and I wanted to edify Travis only in good ways at that point. I didn't want to say anything bad. Even prior to June 4th, I only would have edified him in a good way rather than saying anything negative about him. I wanted him to be cast in a good light, not a negative light.
If you had bruises that were visible after the April 2008 incident, why is it no one else said anything to you about those bruises?
Well, that's not really true. The same day that the bruises occurred, there was a PPL associate who made a joke about it. It was very embarrassing. There were people around, we were at a business briefing, he joked about it. Travis was in the joke, and I don't know if I got beet red, but it felt like I did. I thought the makeup was covering them sufficiently, and then also Matt was somewhat confrontational about it, and at that point I was putting more makeup on. I had a foundation cover up, something that was very opaque that I was putting on them from that point on.
If you were so nearsighted, how were you able to drive?
I never had a problem driving. When I was on the freeway, I could see objects. They weren't very sharp, but they were sharp enough to where I could see whether or not I was in danger or driving safely or not. As far as freeway signs, I had to get closer to them to actually see what they said. But as far as I knew, that was normal vision. I'd never had glasses my entire life. And in 2010, I put on someone else's just for fun, and it was like I didn't even know that you could see the world that way. Everything was sharp. So that's when I realized I need glasses.
In Travis's text to Jodi, text 12308, Exhibit 444, he talks about the mysterious man you've never seen before that wrote for you. Who is this man, and why is he bringing it up?
That man would be Steve Carroll. He wrote me a very nice email, and it went to my Gmail account, which Travis read. And when I tried to explain myself, I said I've never even met him. And so I guess he thought he was a mysterious man, but I had never met Steve, that's what I told him, and it led to a big fight.
Did Travis think it was someone you lied about?
I think he did, the way he postured his words.
You took a picture of the t-shirt and pink shorts, but not the boy's underwear. Why were the pictures taken so much later?
They were taken in July. I knew my time was winding down, and by that point I had heard several rumors that said I was obsessed and all these things, and I thought, well, if somebody finds these, it does look a little strange to have a shirt that says Travis Alexander's and Travis is across the seat on the back of these shorts. So I didn't want those to be found. I knew I was going to be arrested. But they were sentimental to me. So I still wanted to memorialize them in some way. So I laid them out and I photographed them because they were special to me.
You know, we were talking about protecting yourself. One of the other things that you did is that you immediately, almost immediately when you say you come out of this fog, one of the first things that you do is you try to divert attention away from you so that the police won't think that you had anything to do with this killing, right?
Yes.
And this fog that you were under that you're telling us about is not so deep that it stops you from fabricating or attempting to fabricate evidence, right?
That would be correct, I guess.
And it's not so deep that, according to you, you can stay on the telephone and know the prompt so that you can get the telephone message just right, according to you, right?
Well, just so that I wasn't crying in the message, yes.
Right. But you want the message to be just so that it sounds natural, right?
Yeah, as natural as possible.
Right, and you went to great lengths to do that, according to you, right?
Yes.
And the reason that you went to great lengths to do that was that so that if there was any suspicion, it wouldn't be drawn to you, correct?
Not immediately. That was the point, yes.
Right, you wanted the police to look elsewhere, right?
I guess.
Well, no, you made the call knowing the reason why you made the call, right?
Yes.
If you really weren't wanting to fabricate evidence, you would have just left whatever message instead of worrying about crying or whatever it was that you were worried about, right?
That's right.
And so you called Mr. Alexander and you left him a message, right?
Yes.
Let's play it and hear what you said. This is exhibit number 365.
I know Leslie called you, so I already talked to her, so you can call her back if you want, but it's not necessary. My phone died, so I wasn't getting back to anybody. And what else? Oh, and I drove 100 miles in the wrong direction, over 100 miles, thank you very much. So yeah, remember New Mexico? It was a lot like that, only you weren't here to prevent me from going into the 3 digits, so fun. Tell you all about that later. Also, we were talking about, when we were talking about your upcoming travels my way, I was looking at the May calendar, so I'm all confused. But Heather and I are going to see Othello on July 1st, and we would love for you to accompany us. I don't know when Team Freedom's event is, though, but, it's on the list, so we could do Shakespeare, Crater Lake, and the coast. So if you can make it. If not, we'll just do the coast in Crater Lake. But let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. Message will be saved for 21.
That's you, correct?
Correct.
And that's you lying on the message, right?
Yes.
You're telling or leaving the message for Mr. Alexander indicating that you got lost, fun, right?
Yes.
That's not true, right?
That's not true.
Asking him or talking to him about coming up to visit you up in Wairika and doing some of the things that you mentioned, that's not true also, right?
No, that was our plan before June 4th.
That was the plan before June 4th, but you're talking to him or leaving the message for him indicating that, you're sorry you couldn't stop by, but you guys can make up for it when he comes up to visit you, right?
Yes.
That's a lie.
Yes.
And all of these lies, ma'am, are meant for your benefit so that you can escape responsibility.
I don't see how that's to my benefit, but I don't know what you mean by benefit, but yeah, so I could escape whatever for the time being.
Well, not you keep saying for the time being. You would have been happy to avoid the consequences for a lifetime, wouldn't have you?
I can't say I would be happy, but I don't know.
You would have preferred that, though, right?
Junction relevance.
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, you didn't go to the police with any of your information ever until they contacted you, right?
I think I initiated the contact.
Oh, so you're saying when you called the police, you told them the truth?
No, I'm not saying that.
You would have been satisfied to avoid any responsibility for the killing of Mr. Alexander, wouldn't you?
I don't know if satisfied is the word, probably relieved for the time being.
Okay, you would have been relieved to avoid any consequences for the killing of Mr. Alexander, correct?
That was my goal
Right.
that day.
And that's why you left this message that we heard in exhibit number 365, right?
Yes, well, that's part of the reason.
Well, that was the main reason, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, there would be really no other reason to leave a dead man a telephone call, would there?
I probably wouldn't have done that, but Leslie said she called his phone asking for me because I was missing, and then I thought, well, maybe I should do something about that, and that's why I did it. So ultimately, that was the main reason, yes.
So you're looking to Leslie Udy as the reason why you left that telephone call, man?
No, I said the other to avoid whatever was the ultimate reason.
You gave me a reason involving Leslie Udy right now, didn't you?
Yes.
So
I wouldn't have
yours-
thought to leave him a message if I hadn't talked to her prior to leaving that message. And then she said that we've been calling, and we called Travis and left a message and that kind of thing.
But she told you that, ma'am, believing that he was still alive, didn't she?
Yes.
You knew better, though.
I think I did.
And so you didn't have to follow her advice, right?
She didn't give me any advice.
Well, you didn't have to follow her words, did you?
I didn't have to, but it reminded me of his cell phone, and that's...
But
I
it
chose
looks
to
like...
do it. I chose to. I'm not... If you're going down the route saying Leslie made me do that, I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying Leslie made you do it. I'm saying you're looking again in a personal relationship in an issue that is absolutely yours to own, you're looking for somebody else saying, Leslie Udy, I talked to her, and as a result of talking to Leslie Udy, that's why I left this.
Objection, argumentative.
Ma'am, Leslie Udy really didn't have anything to do with that call, right?
I made the call, I just got the idea after speaking with her.
So she was the reason why you had the idea then?
That kind of, I guess.
And according to you, if it had not been for Leslie Udy, you wouldn't have thought about it, right?
I probably might have thought of it eventually, but maybe not. I don't know. I just know that I thought of it after she mentioned she had left a message on his voicemail.
And so because of this outside stimulus, you decided to leave this message, right? It was your decision.
It was my decision.
Just like visiting Mr. Alexander was your decision, right?
Yes.
On June 4th of 2008. It was your decision, right?
Yes.
Even though you told us before that he guilted you, that really wasn't the reason that you went. You wanted to go, correct?
Part of me did and part of me didn't. Obviously the bigger part of me did because I went and he did guilt me and ultimately still was my decision.
And so you made the decision to go though, right?
Yes.
And then though, after that, you did something else to cover up, didn't you?
Yes.
Let's take a look at another exhibit. Take a look at exhibit number 504. You recognize it?
Yes.
It's a text message that you sent, correct?
Yes.
What's the date on it?
The 6th of June.
Pardon?
June 6th, 2008.
And it's to Mr. Alexander, correct?
Yes.
And again, the hours are off by 7, correct?
Yeah, I didn't look at the hours. So.
Well, why don't you just take a look at the hours just so that we can make sure.
Okay.
They're off by 7, correct?
Yes.
Move for the omission of exhibit 504.
No objection.
504 is admitted.
Let's take a look at this text message. First of all, that's your telephone number there on the left, correct?
That was, yes.
And the date there is 6/6 of 08, correct?
Yes.
If we take the 7 hours away from the 1658, what we're really talking, on the 7 hours from 1658, what we're really talking about is what, 9:58 in the morning, is that correct?
Yes.
This is while you were still on the road, right, home, correct?
Yes, I believe it was.
And why don't you read to us what the message is that you left for Mr. Alexander?
Hey, I need to know when you're going to deposit that check.
And you were referring to the check involving the car, right?
Yes.
The check that you know was uncashed in his desk in his office, right?
I didn't know where it was, but I figured it wasn't cashed.
Now, in fact, there was a conversation that you had with the detective where you talked to him about the uncashed check, correct?
Yes.
So you knew it was uncashed, correct?
By the time it hadn't cleared whenever I talked to him, I knew it was uncashed.
But another thing that you knew on this date is that Mr. Alexander was dead, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I
And
did.
you did that again so that you could cover up what you had done, right?
Yes.
Because you did not want to be faced with whatever consequences were involved, right?
I was afraid of the consequences.
And because you were afraid, that was a good enough excuse for you to send something like that.
Objection argumentative.
Restate.
The reason that you gave to us that you were afraid, in your mind, even though the fog had lifted, or there was a fog that was involved, you felt that it was okay to send this message.
I didn't feel it was okay. It's not like that. So I guess that would be no.
Well, then why are you sending it? Are you sending it so that you can reach him in the grave, or what?
No.
You're sending it so that, as you previously said, involving the telephone calls, so you won't have to face the consequences of what you did, right?
Yes.
Just like the scene, you're trying to manipulate the evidence, right?
Yes.
Take a look at another exhibit. Exhibit 505. Do you recognize it?
Yeah.
And that's an email, right?
Yeah.
Sent by you, right?
Yes.
Sent to Mr. Alexander, right?
To his email.
And what date and time was it sent?
Saturday, June 7th, 2008.
What time?
I'm sorry, 10:21.
I move for the admission of exhibit 505.
No objection.
505 is admitted.
Let's take a look at it. It's from you, right?
Yeah.
And you've already told us the date and time. You're sending it to him even though you know he's dead, right? It's a way to stage the scene, right?
I think so, yeah. That was my goal, I think.
What was, I didn't hear you.
That was my,
Goal, right?
yeah.
Why don't you start with, hey you, and read to us what it says.
Hey, you, I haven't heard back
A
from
little
you.
bit louder.
Objection is the fact that it was sent is enough.
Hey, you, I haven't heard back from you. I hope you're not still upset that I didn't come to see you. I just didn't have enough time off. It's okay, sweetie. You're going to be here in less than 2 weeks. We're going to see the sights.
You also write, check things off the list and all kinds of fun things, right?
Yes.
You say Oregon is beautiful this time of year. Yay, be happy, correct? And then you say, anyway, I wanted to let you know that I'm thinking about pushing my visit up to next week, but it depends on my budget, so I'm not sure yet. I know you'll be in Cancun, but I'll probably crash at your house in your cozy bed anyway. Eat some of your oatmeal and frozen dinners, you know, the usual joke. I know you said the door is always open, but I wanted to give you a heads up. If for any reason that won't work, let me know and I'll make other arrangements. Your house has always been my second home, although it's a bit more lonely without naps around. You're probably in California right now, but wherever you are, get a hold of me at least before you head to Mexico. Thanks, hon, Jodi. You wrote that, right?
Yes.
That was your way of it. An attempt for you to, again, stage the scene, so to speak, right?
Yes.